If you could go back in time and prevent one event in human history from happening, what event would you choose? In the beginning the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. If you choose something broad, does that mean it can never happen, or it just didn't happen the same way at the same time it happened in our universe? Like if I say the moon landing. Does that mean that man can never land on the moon at all? Or just that something prevents the US from sending men to the moon in 1969? I'd stop that kid from falling into Harambe's habitat. Burning of the Library of Alexandria. I swear to God we were this close to ancient internet. Never should have left the trees. I would prevent Kennedy's assassination. I'd go back and put George Hudson in a coma. Goddamn daylight savings time. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. My first marriage. The Library of Alexandria being burned down. Would be nice to still have that knowledge. Hitler, I'd kill him dead while he painted away in Paris. No remorse, no hint of regret. He killed all my European family tree. Cousins, aunts, uncles. We'll never meet them. Thousands of other families, I know, feel the same. That time I thought it was a fantastic idea to ask out Lisa Bates in front of half my class at school instead of doing it quietly out of the way. It was not a fantastic idea at all. I'd go back November 25, 1120 and make sure that Henry I's son William Adeline didn't board the White Ship, or failing that the White Ship wasn't able to sail. I'm picking this one because the ripple effect could be enormous and because it's one of the few events that could realistically be prevented by one person and where the circumstances weren't likely to be repeated anytime soon. I wonder how different the world would be if 9/11 didn't happen. Eating at a shitty restaurant last week. Definitely would go somewhere else. I would change how they sent that poor dog to space to die out there, all alone. My birth. The horrible shit that happened to Junko Furuta or the radiation incident with Hisashi Aochi. Both if I could. They both went through literal hell. COVID-19, the Hitler thing was bad, but honestly I'd go back and prevent the evolution of combat in 2 rupees. Now we're S3. I would go back in time just enough to prevent my annoying boss from being born. Ronald Reagan from winning in 1980. I'd stop Cliff Burton from getting on the bus. I would prevent the death of that guy's dead wife. That one lazy dickhead who realized that if you planted crops near your house, you didn't have to move your food around, and now I have to pay taxes and rent. The Kennedy. I've always been kinda curious how things would be different if John and Robert Kennedy hadn't been killed by assholes. Dropping that ice cream cone on the driveway when I was 6 years old. The memory still haunts me. Columbine. Farting that one time in 3rd grade class. I really needed the friends and that tarnished it. The Vietnam War. I'd prevent myself from eating spicy curry for dinner last night. 2005. Ash's second test. I would make sure all the balls were picked up during warm-up so Glenn McGrath doesn't roll his ankle. If I could go back in time and prevent one event in human history, I would prevent the invention of the selfie stick. Think of all the awkward tourist photos we could have avoided. Reagan defeating Carter. Assassination of Abraham Lincoln. The evolution of combat on RuneScape. New Coke. The fire that destroyed the Library of Alexandria. I would prevent the advent of all religion. Slavery in the United States. The legacy of slavery and our unwillingness to resolve it once and for all has forever poisoned race relations in this nation, contributed to crime, violence, and extreme politics of bad faith, and will eventually contribute to our nation's downfall. Art schools rejecting Hitler's work. Would have been cool to give Al Gore a chance at US president. Reagan getting elected president of the United States. The impact that ended the dinosaurs and eventually led to the evolution of humans. The moment someone made the decision that we should work 5 days in a row and only have 2 days off. That person needs to die. I'd stop 9/11 to ruin Tom Brady's career. Save my man Jesus Christ. Meteor smash. If I can stop it as a puny little human. Constantine officially converting the Roman Empire to Christianity. Putin ever taking power in Russia. The invention of the cell phone. I feel like we would all be happier. I would like to personally replace Carnegie as one of the wealthiest businessmen of the early industrial US cause he was one of Nikola Tesla's main backers. Knowing what I know of Tesla Fund that man-free electricity THSTS wireless. I'd give Jotlev the most explosive diarrhea the day of the Chernobyl disaster. World War I. If the first WW never happened, the second one wouldn't have either. I'd go back in time to when I was in community college and tell myself to either find a major that I could actually use or go to trade school. The Riz's basement flooding. Tikal would have sounded so much better and Inspector Deck's album would have been as great as the other first-gen solo albums. This might be kind of small but I think if that bullshit vote tampering in Florida hadn't gone through the SC and Al Gore became president we might have been slightly less fucked regarding climate change than we currently are. If you pick something big like preventing Hitler's rise to power or something someone else might just take his place or something worse might happen in replacement of it. The writing of the Second Amendment. I'm so fucking sick of guns being more valuable than children's lives. Go ahead and fucking downvote me, cunts. Donald Trump winning the 2016 election. I wouldn't let you eat bats. The Russian Revolution. It stopped my mother from cheating on my father. MGK's career as a musician. If I could find a way, I'd take back those words that have hurt you and you'd stay. Dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The moment that nuclear weapons were used for the first time really changed war forever. I wish we could all collectively just say nah, we are going to get rid of these things. Besides the Holocaust. Maybe Columbus, like delay European contact with America as long as possible? Maybe really fuck around and prevent humans? Sorry, I love a lot of us, but boy are we on track to fuck this planet right up. Maybe my cousin's suicide. Or Columbine. Maybe just do nothing. All monotheistic religions. I would kill the director of the CIA. I would prevent Fauci from being the head of the NIAID. I'd stop he from eating that forbidden fruit. The Bolshevik coup in Russia, my birth. The invention of religion. Like religion is a big fabricated structure. Corrupted already corrupt government system for hundreds of years. I'd catch that first little bastard climbing out of the primordial ooze and boot him back in. I got food poisoning a month ago. It was diarrhea so violent at one point I get to the toilet as I bent over to squat, my butthole exploded out with the nastiest shit I ever pour. Eve, don't eat that apple. Discovery of gunpowder. Eve eating from the tree. Not sure how, but I'd stop the formation and exploitations of the Dutch and British East India companies. Inventing electric and hydrogen cars. Evolution. Kill Putin. Stop Jesus from dying for the sinners, and get him to give it up for his followers. I would prevent my girlfriend's death. COVID. I'd go back to the Garden of Eden and stop Adam eating that apple. Bugger Eve, we guys gotta stick together. I want to prevent my parents from meeting. Dad can die in a fire for all I care, but Mom deserves so much better than the husband and children she got. I'd really like to see a version of history where Caesar stayed home on the Ides of March. Trudeau getting voted in. Or him being born. When the church split America between England, France, Spain, and Portugal, it should have belonged to the indigenous peoples. Helen Keller just her existing. Stop Obama from making the Trump joke that led to the whole MAGA movement. Colonization of North America. Introducing Christianity to us Westerners. The Israelite thought Jesus was just some random prophet. Why are we the ones revering him? And then the fucking Vatican got involved. And then they all switched to Satanism. And then they started making world decisions while worshipping the bad guy of the story. And now we're here today where everyone can get away with something by saying, oh, I'm Christian. My own conception, my birth. The evolutionary split that caused humans to branch off from apes. Without humans the world would be a better place, definitely less polluted. In order to not affect my own birth I'd have to go recent, and I'd have to go with the previous president. The beginning of humankind. We are by far the most disgusting, selfish, brutish life forms on the planet, and it's infuriating to think that we are so self-righteous that we actually believe that we are gonna destroy the earth rather than be the annoying, ego-inflated troglodytes we are on a relative scale that are bound to be eviscerated and purged from this earth in the next few centuries, hopefully decades. My dad shooting his load and my mum. My birth. TBH, I'd kick my dad in the balls so I don't have to exist. My conception. America becoming America. Fucking white people. The birth of Donald Trump. First human being born. The butterfly effect would be amazing. Plus, it would create a paradox. Slavery in America. Oh, how different the world would be. Problem is, you do this, then the event never happened for you to decide to prevent it, so you don't prevent it, meaning it does happen so you will prevent it, and so on and so on. The paradox goes. Commodore Perry's visit to Shogunate Japan, forcing them to open up, caused then the Meiji Restoration would have never happened, and the Empire of Japan and hence the Imperial Japanese Army would have never come to be. The birth of Abram called Abraham. I'm sure we'd find some other good to fight over, but hopefully, their followers could be a little less cultish, finding the Americas the way they did. The greed for colonization. A lot of things wrong with the world today are from the effects of colonization. I think the Americas are what started it. On some level though, I think colonization is inevitable. Do something about men who at some point decided that women are worse or less human than them. The human history has happened in such a way it allowed me to be alive now. Changing it may result in me not being alive, therefore I'm not going to change anything. The best time to change something is now. Stop Hitler from killing himself. If Hillary's IT guy didn't ask Reddit about how to erase her data, then she could have won the election. If she won, then there wouldn't have been a need to release COVID on the world. Nothing. Stopping one major world event could potentially lead to a much more devastating event than what actually happened. Bad things happening in history are just learning experiences. If they didn't happen in that moment, they would have happened farther down the road, probably at a much larger and more devastating scale. Martyrdom of Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Save Umar ibn al-Khattab.